A lot of brands get to 250 grand a month in revenue, 3 million a year in revenue, but very few of them get past that. That tends to be a very, very weird place for people. So I'm going to break down what I've seen businesses that have kind of really got past that do, and what to do once you get stuck there. So my name's Leighton. I run a performance agency based in Dublin. We help e-commerce brands scale with acquisition, retention, content creation, content strategy, financial forecasting and planning, and everything that an e-commerce brand needs to grow and scale. After seeing dozens of brands around that 100 to 250k mark, I've noticed the same patterns that keep them stuck, and it's a 250k per month. Okay, it's actually, I prefer saying yearly, so it's a 3-year ceiling. So let's go number one, right? So the founder is still the operator. At 1 million, you have to do everything. At 3 million, you shouldn't. You really shouldn't. Most founders are still approving ads, approving emails, watching dashboards, making every product decision, handling supplier issues, handling agencies. At this stage, you really got to start building out that leadership team. You really got to understand that delegation is going to be really crucial. So the business is still running through one person at that kind of 2 to 3 million mark. It works at a smaller scale, but if you want to really break out of that, you're going to have to look at getting the right team in place. So it breaks once you get to 3 million because there's more SKUs, there's more ad spend, more customers, more issues. And if the founder is the system, the business can't grow beyond that because the founder only has so many bandwidth. So you need ownership, you need clear paid media accountability, clear content accountability, clear retention accountability, no chaos, and you want to get the right people in the right seats to be able to take it to the next level. So reason 2, creative starts to fatigue. So when you're getting to like 1 million, you can put out a certain amount of content and then scale up winners. When you're really getting past that 3 million mark, the spend is higher, the stakes are higher, and you really want to be pushing out more creative volume, and it burns out faster. So if you don't have a weekly testing strategy, if you don't have structured angles, a clear creative pipeline, your performance is naturally going to start to stall. Founders respond by increasing budget of old ad winners from like 6 months ago, discounting harder, you see that all the time, and then blaming the platforms. But the real issue is creative velocity, and the quicker you make peace with that, the better off you're going to be. You don't scale on one winner, you scale on a system that keeps producing them. Cash flow pressure. So this is where it can get real. This is a really not talked about enough position, but look, e-commerce businesses are not very traditionally cash healthy businesses. This is where things can get really well. So at 100 grand a month, ad spend is meaningful, inventory is meaningful, team costs are meaningful. If your payback period is long and your retention is weak, growth becomes very stressful. So you start thinking, okay, can we afford to increase the budget? Can we afford to get this kind of creative? What if performance is dipping? Are we over ordering on stock? You're no longer playing small numbers. So if your forecasting isn't in place and you're not setting your targets and understanding where you're going to be over 3, 6, 9, 12 months, the ceiling appears, and it's not because you can't grow, it's because you're scared to. So most brands don't hit a performance ceiling, they hit a cash confidence ceiling, and it's a lot of businesses will know exactly what they need to do to grow, they're just not really in the position to do it. So that's why planning and forecasting is so important. Retention isn't strong enough. At 100 grand a month, if most revenue comes from new customers every single month, you're rebuilding the business constantly. Like, that's just not going to work out for anybody because you're not building any assets, you're not building anything that compounds. You want to focus hugely on balancing acquisition with retention. So if retention is shallow, your CAC pressure is going to hugely increase, your scaling is going to feel really risky, and your profit margins are going to usually stay tight. So brands that break past 3 million usually have a strong base of returning customers. It reduces pressure on acquisition and it gives you that breathing room. Most brands also don't have a 12-month plan. They're operating very month to month. They are. Yeah. Usually at this level they still are. Most, I'd say 60-70% are. So they're looking at like last week's ROAS, they tweak ads, they react. Very few have a 12-month revenue target, defined CAC targets, budget allocation mapped, hiring plan mapped for positions. And without a bigger model, growth becomes random. And random growth rarely breaks ceilings. So tied together, the 100k ceiling isn't about the platform, it's about structure, founder bottleneck, creative system weakness, cash flow pressure, weak retention, and no long-term plan. So when those are fixed, then the ceiling does genuinely disappear. The only caveat here is probably market. So I'm based in Ireland. Naturally, just because of the size of the country we are and the amount of disposable cash that is in this country, the ceiling, the market is smaller compared to the UK and the US. So it usually becomes a scenario where you have to begin to really look at, when you start becoming a serious player, you have to start looking at who the other players are in the country and you'll start taking their customers. It's a bit different when you're in a bigger market, but that's just something to keep in mind. The bulk of those other things is true. So if you're sitting around that level right now, like the 2 to 3 million, ask yourself, is this really a performance problem or is it a structural one? Do I need to get the right people in the right places? It's about building a business that can handle the scale, and that shift is what separates good brands from very serious ones. My name is Leighton. If you liked the video, I'd really appreciate it. Subscribe, and also if you'd like to have a conversation, my calendar link is in the description. Thank you very much.